Hello my friends and welcome to tip number 1 of my top 5 tips on how to win a tournament in the game of Golf Clash. Many people do ask me, how Tommy can you win a banner, or how can you win a tournament in the game of Golf Clash? How can you be in top in so many tournaments? I do have a few tips and I'm going to share them with you here tonight. So first tip, as I would like to call, is pick the right clubs. That is something that is so crucial when you play in a tournament, that you need to pick the correct club for the correct hole. I'm going to have an example hole here, which was hole number 6 in the latest Cinco de Mayo tournament, also a hole on turn number 6 and turn number 11. On this hole, when you play normally on turn 6 or turn 11, you use an extra mile, or you use an apocalypse, or a Thor's hammer, or something like that. When it comes to the tournament, you can see that I'm actually requesting, especially from Pro and Expert T combined with Masters T, I suggest the quarterback, or the rocket from Master T, I suggest the quarterback on Pro and Expert T. Then you maybe think, okay, that is not the best driver that I do have in my bag, but it's the best driver for this particular hole. It's the best club. And the reason for it is that when you do go and look at the course, you kind of need to know specific things about the hole and what you kind of need. On this hole, for an example, you do want to have some curl, you do want to have some backspin to be able to be close to the pin. This is also a hole where you don't need distance, which, for an example, also gives you an opportunity to use the clubs that you normally don't use. And I'm going to show you here in the app with the clubs that I do have in my bag. So we're going to see, as you can see, I do have most of it max, but in the tournament I used the quarterback, as I do have here. The reason I'm using the quarterback is much as well for the ball guide. I do have 4.5 ball guide, which is better than the Apocalypse 3.9. I do have the backspin, which I do want. I do also have the curl for it, and also I do have 100% in accuracy, which is absolutely perfect for this hole, in my opinion. Then we go to the club that many people do throw in the garbage already after turn number 1, and I don't blame you, but in a tournament situation, for an example, you do have much use for the rocket, especially when it comes to the par 3s, where you do want to use the rocket because of the backspin, and you also have the ball guide, but especially the backspin, it will help you go directly to the green in many occasions where you can actually be having a tough time to even reach the green, as you need to bounce over obstacles and stuff like that. Another one that is very much so where you need to pick the right club, especially, is the wood clubs. You do have you do have the Horizon, you do have the Viper, the Big Dog, the Hammerhead, the Guardian, the Sniper, and the Cataclysm. And then, for an example, when we come to a par 5, I do see many people, they go with their Sniper because they love the Sniper, and the Sniper is, in general, in my opinion, the best club in the game. But then we do forget that the Sniper in a level 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or even 10 does not have the distance as, for an example, the Big Dog has, or the Cataclysm has, which has 180 yards of distance. And that is something that is very important on par 5, because you need distance. So then we need to pick the correct club for that particular hole, to give ourselves the easiest way to make the eagle as we do want for a tournament situation, and also give ourselves the possibility to make an albatross, which is something that we do want at least to have in the tournament. So, and also we do have the third example when it comes to the Guardian and the Sniper. The Guardian is a club with distance, it's a club with accuracy, and it's also a club with backspin. It does not have that much topspin. It does not have that max curl as we do have on the Sniper, for example, or the Cataclysm here in this situation. And the Guardian is perfect when we do have a situation where we need to make the ball stop on the green. And then we use the Guardian, and then we remove all other clubs. So in the end here, for the first tip, pick the right clubs. Again, it's very, very important for you to be a winning player in tournament, that you give yourself the opportunity to play with the clubs that can give you the best possibility to make a good score. Otherwise, you will have a very tough time on specific holes to even give yourself the opportunity to get that bonus or that extra. That is crucial because so many people are very good at this game. So my friends, thanks for watching here. So here comes tip number 2. Hello my friends, and welcome to tip number 2 in my top 5 tips on how to win a tournament in the game of Golf Clash. This one is called use the right ball, and this is also something that I would say is crucial. I use the word crucial a lot, but like combined with tip number 1 and tip number 2, it's also something that kind of aligns with each other, and I'm going to talk about that. And when it comes to use the right ball, that is also something that needs to be thought through, and I go through that in many training sessions with my students to be able to choose the balls that is the best for that particular hole. That is like, what can I say? 3 types of holes in a tournament. There is a par 3, there is a par 4, there is a par 5. And those work a little bit different. When it comes to par 3, you do want to have as little wind as possible to be able to get that hole in one, or to at least line yourself up close and at least give yourself the opportunity, instead of having like 8, 9, 10 to 15 miles per hour in wind. And here you can see you always have to, of course, check your bag for the balls that you do have. If you do have a limited amount of balls and don't have any special ball, of course we need to go for that one that is the best, or at least the closest for the things that I do think it's necessary. For an example here, if I look at my bag, when I play a par 3, I do want to reduce the wind. Then it's normal for me to play with, for an example, a bobble ball, which has wind resistance 5. Doesn't matter if I have side spin 1 or I have power 2. It doesn't matter to 1% because I do want to reduce the wind, because that will help me to adjust and play for the pin. We do have, for an example, the movie ball here, which has wind resistance 4, but I do have a lot of side spin as well, which can be good if I do need side spin on that hole, combined with reducing the wind. And if you don't have any special balls, that is okay, but then you of course need to look at, okay, which type of ball is the best one when I do need wind resistance. Navigator is a perfect ball in that you do have wind resistance 2. That is mostly used when you play in the first division in a tournament. And also we do have the Kingmaker, the regular Kingmaker, that do have wind resistance 3, which is a common ball when it comes to Pro Expert and Masters division. So it's very important when it comes to every type of hole to use the ball that is the best one for the hole. We can take a par 4 for an example. That can go 2 ways. We can play a long par 4, we can play a short par 4. If we play a short par 4 and we just kind of want to line up and give ourselves an opportunity with our short iron, with a long iron, to be able to go for the pin, then I can use a wind resistance ball. I can use, for an example, I may not go with a bobble ball, I may go with a Kingmaker, or I may go with a bunny ball, for an example, that I do have power 3, but I do have wind resistance 4, because then I will get the distance with it, so I don't have to overpower my drive. I do also get the wind resistance for my second shot, so I can be in easier way, be close, or maybe drop that one for an eagle or an albatross. If we do have tailwind, for an example, on one of the par 4s, then we may want to think, okay, if I just go far here, then I can maybe be in the green bunker, or maybe could be in the rough close to the green. Then I pull out, not a Kingmaker, I pull out with a Berserker with power instead, and less wind resistance to give myself the opportunity to go long. So always think what can be the best ball for us on this particular hole. We do have the par 5s as well, and as the tournament structure works, we do get a lot of tailwind on the par 5s on all the levels, especially for Pro Expert and also Rookie. And then it's important because on the par 5 we do need distance in general. So the general ball should be at least a Titan, in my opinion, which gives us a power 3. And also we do have the Kingmaker, of course, to combine with that. Then in the end, if we do have some tailwind, we are able to go far, we have an open fairway, pull out a power 5 ball, pull out a berserker, go along in this occasion. Sure, I can go and describe every hole and I can be as detailed as possible, but it all comes down to which type of balls you actually have in your bag and also how many of them that you actually have. For example, I have 4 balls of the bubble ball, which means that I want to use the bubble ball when I do believe the bubble ball is absolutely necessary or the absolute best way for me to make an hole-in-one. If I may, in that occasion, could use a movie ball, I may not see it as the best ball, but I see it too close as the best ball, then I maybe use a movie ball as I do have 6 package of the movie ball to kind of save some of the balls for the tournament. Because many people ask me, how can you have so many balls, Tommy? How can you have, for example, snow globe balls and stuff like that? Is because I always think when I play which type of ball I could use. I always need to save, and especially special balls, I want to save them to tournaments. Give myself the opportunity to have that edge when it comes to the balls, as it's very, very important. So my friends, this was tip number 2, and I will see you again on tip number 3. Hello my friends, and welcome to tip number 3 of my top 5 tips on how to win a tournament in the game of Golf Clash. This tip is called join the right bracket, and that maybe makes you wonder, what am I talking about there? Can you actually control in which bracket you actually put yourself in the tournament, in the weekend round especially? And I would say yes, actually. And that is something that I use myself a lot when it comes especially to the weekend round. In the opening round, I don't care that much. But for example, we can start with talking about the bracket, how that actually works. We can take the weekly league for an example. The weekly league is also a bracket where you do end up together with a lot of players. You can see here we are getting up with 100 people in a bracket. That is the same as for the opening round and the weekend round in a tournament. When you open your app, you will be automatically put in a bracket. So far, so good. And that means, like, when you open your app, when it's time for the weekend round, you will be put automatically in a bracket. When it comes to pro, expert, masters, for example, but especially masters, there is approximately 7 or 8 brackets every Masters tournament, which means that there will be some brackets that will be very, very tough because some of the best players do pick their bracket, especially those with good tiebreaker, etc., etc. And that is something that I've been thinking about a lot, and how to use that to my advantage, how to use that to your advantage when you play your tournament. It's like many of us, when we play the tournament, do want to play. We want to play right away. We love it so much. So we jump in directly when the tournament starts. We will be put into a bracket, which also means that those people that actually like to play and love to play, also, and those players that play the most, kind of jump in kind of early when it comes to opening their app after the weekend round starts. And again, that means that we will be put into a bracket directly when we're open their app. And I say that again so we kind of understand the thing behind it. So, for an example, if you do wait a little bit, maybe you take the Saturday off, you don't open your bracket, your app, you maybe jump in Sunday evening in a bracket. Then you will be put to play with players that hasn't opened their bracket yet either, which means that many of those people that are active, that are playing the game every day, which is the most part, they have already been put into a bracket. They may not have been playing yet, but they have opened their app and jumped into a bracket. Which means that if you wait a little bit, you can have an advantage to be put against players that don't play that often, which will give you an edge, as you may be a more experienced player and can be an easier way pull off a score that is in general a good score, but maybe not the best score in the world, but you can still be on top of the bracket, as many of the best players for that division already has been playing. And that is something that many people does not know that it works. and it took me a long time to understand how it actually works. That's why there is a lot of Facebook Messenger groups of people coordinating when to jump into a bracket, as some people do not want to play against each other, as they are friends, for example, or they are competitive and don't want to put themselves in an unnecessary bracket where there already is a person with a really good tiebreaker. It's like if you do know that a person with a good tiebreaker, and I can take my friend from Finland for an example, that is a very good player in Masters. He is always on the top, he always has a good tiebreaker, and he most of the time jumps in already directly in the morning in the first bracket. Which tells me, okay Tommy, I can wait a little bit, put myself in bracket number 2 or in another bracket, to not be stupid enough to put myself into a bracket against one of the best tournament players in the world. And then I take that, of course, because there is other brackets. I have no problem in waiting, and that will just give me an advantage in the other bracket, as I remove one of the people that I will have a hard time to win against. And this maybe applies more in the higher tournaments, tournament divisions, but it also applies when it comes to the rookie division and the pro division, even though there are more brackets. But the longer you wait, in general, the less experienced player you will go into play, which can give you that little edge and be able to win a bracket, maybe with a score that is not the best score in the world. And I will take that a little bit quick as well when it comes to the weekly league bracket. When you play a tournament, the week you play a tournament, you should also, when it comes to the Monday there, when the qualifying rounds start, wait a little bit. Wait to the end of Monday, maybe already to Tuesday, until you jump into a weekly league bracket, because that will put yourself into a weekly league bracket with players that may not be playing that much, which means that you need less coins to be able to stay in your weekly league bracket, and you don't have to grind a tournament with maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 accounts, combined with having to grind the regular tour for several hours during that week. So my friends, that was tip number 3, and I will see you again in tip number 4. Hello my friends, and welcome to tip number 4, and in my top 5 tips on how to win a tournament in the game of Gold Clash. And I would like to call this tip Focus on Your Own Game. And that maybe sounds very simple, but you can just imagine how many people that do have that problem when they are used to focus on their opponent, what they shoot in the shootout, and do they make that drop for the eagle, for the albatross, etc, etc. This is also something that I do work with players in training sessions a lot, because it's in your head. It's so much in your head, and it will help you to reduce that stress, reduce that pressure when you go in and play. When you do play, you are often so curious about what every other player has been playing and shooting. And that's no wrong with that. I am that myself. But to give you yourself that edge on yourself, try to stay away on looking at the top of your bracket when you're playing. Of course, when you have been playing 12, 13, 14 or more holes, you need eventually to look at the top. But you need a good start when you play your, especially your weekend round, but also the other rounds. Don't try to focus that much on what your opponent has been doing. You're playing against yourself in a tournament. The thing that you do on the course is what matters. If your opponent makes an hole-in-one, why should you care? It doesn't matter. Sure, if you have a limited amount of coins when you do play, I can see that is a problem, but you should never put yourself into a tournament where you risk losing a lot of your bankroll. But in the end, stay away from thinking about that. Focus on your own game. If you made a good shot, you made a good shot. Just because your opponent won the game doesn't matter whatsoever. And if you can pull yourself and get yourself into that bubble, and give yourself that position where you can focus on your own game. You're kind of not even focusing on who you are playing, as you're focused on, I'm going to do my drive, I'm going to do my wood shot, I'm going to do my shipping, and I'm going to make this eagle now because I need my eagle to my tournament, not something else. And that is something that is so much bigger than the small tip I can give here, but it's something to start with, something to grow with, and kind of apply to your game, that you actually play by yourself in the tournament instead of playing against your opponent and focusing on winning the game. That's why many of the times I do, as you can see on my streams, that I forfeit some of the holes, especially shootouts. And the reason I do that is that I do not want to focus on shootouts, because that is different type of win than we are playing in the tournaments. And it also gives my head a little spin of like, okay, now I want to play this hole because I want to win the shootout. I always want to win, of course. So then I forfeit the shootouts, I spend the coins, which of course is something that is necessary to do, and I always see so I can have the coins to be able to forfeit the shootouts. So my friends, this was tip number 4, and I will see you again for the last tip, which is tip number 5. Hello my friends, and welcome to tip number 5 of my top 5 tips on how to win a tournament in the game of Golf Clash. And I would like to call this tip practice and study. It's kind of a wide subject, but I'm going to tell you my thoughts about that, of course. When it comes to being able to be good in a tournament, you need to make the groundwork. You need to watch videos, you need to look at the text guides, you need to take your notes to give yourself that confidence boost that you really need in a tournament. Because if you know where to aim, you know which clubs to use, you know which ball to use, then you need to hit your ball perfect and adjust properly for the win. So you kind of eliminate some of the variables that you normally need to be able to have if you go in blank into a tournament round. So it's very important to study, make your ground, take those hours, study, or like at least take half an hour and study on the game to give yourself that edge to boost your confidence. The thing that I mean with the word practice is that many of the people, me included, I use Monday's practice. Again, this applies if you have the coins to like basically throw the coins in the garbage. That you take Monday's qualifier, you play the holes one time, you play all the 9 holes one time to give yourself an understanding, to look at the wind, to kind of give an understanding on which type of clubs you're going to use, depending on the wind, etc. And then you forfeit the holes, you don't qualify day number 1, and then you qualify for real day number 2 or day number 3, depending on which day suits the best for you. That practice round is so useful to get that extra edge for yourself in round, because you need to have in mind that we only play 45 holes. So we play one hole in the tournament, we play that 5 times. And if you can play that one more time, that will give you an easier understanding of how to play that hole, which will give you an easier time to be close to make something to drop on that hole. And my friends, this was 5 tips that you have been watching here. Kind of a long video, but many people has been requesting a video like this to try to ask me how I can take all those banners that I do have. I have been consistent with my tournament play and have banners in 50% of all the tournaments that I've been playing. And then including that, I do have 3 4th place positions in Masters, and I've been 2 times outside the top 10. And for me, the tournaments is very important. It's important in the way that you can win balls, you can win cards, you can win coins, and also you can take that banner, which is awesome, to your profile picture here in the game. And So take the opportunity when there is a tournament. We do often have a tournament every other week in the game, and spend that little extra time, make that groundwork. I promise you it will help you. It may not put yourself on top in every tournament, it may not put yourself on top in the first tournament, but at least it will improve your game massively. So if you do have any questions, you can always make a comment in the comment section below here on this YouTube video, and I will answer you. You can always get in contact with me and my team through the Facebook page Team Golf Clash Tommy. And for those that want to invest in their tournament play, sign up for a training session on patreon.com/golfclashtommy, and we will see till you get your banner and boost your confidence and actually show yourself that you are a good player in the tournament play. So my friends, I say thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the thumbs up button. That would be absolutely appreciated. Thank you.